Welcome to the Supplement RX certification. I'm Ryan Burrington, COO of Supplement RX, and we're excited that you're ready to get your training started. Now, the first section that we're going to dig into is why supplements. The game plan for this first section, why supplements, and what you should learn is we're going to start with who is taking supplements. We're also going to look at trends in obesity and overweight in our society. And we're really going to look at two key factors: how we're eating and how we're moving. Then we're going to look at why taking supplements is important and how the need is created through things like how our food is made, how it's packaged, agricultural changes, and how our food is grown, and the technology. Lifestyle factors. Let's discuss people are busy, they're stressed. What role does that play for why supplements? And then lastly, lack of knowledge and really understanding how I should be eating based on my body and my goals. And we're going to look at that opportunity that's created and the importance of supplementation for driving optimal health, for helping us reach our fitness goals. And then lastly, the benefits of taking supplementation, how it does help plug nutritional gaps, how it makes it easier, more convenient to get better nutrition or ideal nutrition for us, and then increasing our exercise performance, our recovery, and all of this leading down to one key thing, and that is results. Let's kick it off with a question. Who takes supplements? Now, most people are going to associate those that take supplements as this. It's the bodybuilding demographic, right? It's the ones that have a huge amount of muscle. So they're definitely taking something. A lot of times it's just what we see, whether it's online, whether it's in the magazines, it's all the endorsements. It's the professional bodybuilders showing, hey, these are the products that I'm taking. Now, if it's not that particular demographic, a lot of times people associate it with athletes, right? It's the athlete wanting the advantage. So we talk about things like getting bigger, getting faster, getting stronger. Those are the type of people we associate with those taking supplements. And while we associate these individuals or groups as those using supplements, let's look at the general population. And here's a key point to note. Over half the U.S. adult population regularly takes supplements, according to the CDC. And anytime you hear me say key point or note this, I encourage you, definitely write it down in your notepad, circle it, start, whatever you got to do. High chance is going to be at the end in the quiz section. So yes, definitely a majority of the population, now more so than ever, is taking supplements. If we look at the research and the trend over a course of several years, we can see that more and more people are taking supplements. It's a $2 billion a year industry. If we look at our industry, we see a great opportunity here. 75% or more, according to industry stats, of those coming into the facility consistently are taking supplements. And there's no doubt that's either for impacting their workout, meaning they get a better workout, they recover faster, or they have their fitness goals and they're trying to take advantage of getting there as quickly as possible. If we look at the medical community, according to the CRN, the majority of doctors and nurses are now recommending supplements. And there's another key point to note. In fact, the majority of doctors and nurses are taking supplements themselves. One of the best examples of the medical community backing the use of supplements came in 2002 from the Journal of American Medical Association, saying that, people should be on a multivitamin, and there is the reason why we should take supplements. So this publication really sets the stage for the question of why are we not getting enough nutrients through food or through our diet. We're going to explore that and dig into that further as we discuss why supplements. But before we do that, let's take a look at, what are our top 5 food choices in America? And this is according to research done by the CDC. And I'm going to flash these up on the screen here. And yes, these are our top 5 food choices. And these are based on the most common intake of daily calories that we consume. And I'm sure we can agree these taste great. But what else is common with these? Not only do they taste great, but how convenient are they? Gas stations now sell pizza by the slice. It's pretty easy to get. Fast food is everywhere. Energy drinks, soda, you can get those anywhere along with chips. So, yes, they are super convenient and they're easy to get, but they're also high in what? High in calories. They're high in sugar, carbohydrates. So these are the typical food choices that our society is making. The next thing we need to look at is, how are we moving? And, the same research through the CDC looking at physical activity gives us these top 5 physical activity choices. And I'm going to put these on the screen, and as I'm putting these up, think about what is our number 1 physical activity. We have driving. I guess texting and drinking coffee, that's a lot to do while you're driving, but maybe you're burning more calories. Maybe if you eat like that, she's really digging into that spaghetti, right? She's really burning some calories. Working at the office, playing with the kids, watching TV. You look at these things, and you don't have to be an expert to realize we're really not moving or burning that many calories through these types of physical activities. And by the way, our number one physical activity choice is driving. The average commute is 50 minutes. So yes, steering the wheel, looking out the mirrors. And shoot, if you have a 5-speed manual and you're shifting, you're burning more calories. But the reality is we're just not moving like we used to. And part of that is going to be things like technology. Let's look at this screen, one of my favorite pictures. People are going to a gym. You're going up an escalator. You're going to work out. Take the stairs. I used to be a trainer. If that was one of my clients, I would immediately grab them, meet them at the door, take them back down to the bottom of the stairs, and they'd be going up and down at 10 times. Consider it a warm-up. I get taking the escalator down if you had a really good workout or you had a leg day and your legs are shaking, reward yourself, go down. But certainly, we can look at this and say, you know what? We don't even think about it. Technology nowadays has caused us to be less active, whether we're sitting in front of the computer, we're taking the easy way as we go up escalators or go up elevators or, you name it, sitting on the iPhone or the iPad. We're just not as active as we once were. And with those two key factors of eating more and moving less, there definitely has to be a trend. So let's look at what has been the outcome. And we're going to look at obesity first. And we're going to start with 1990 and go all the way to 2010. And if you ask any historian, that amount of time, essentially 20 years in history, is brief. That is not a lot of time. But we've seen a consistent trend here. And we're going to start with 1990. If you look at the blues there, it's about a 10 to 14% of that state's population is obese. Let's go to 2000. We're going to now see darker blues. You're going to see yellows. Yellow is about 20 to 24% of that state's population is obese. And then if we go all the way to 2010, you start to see oranges and red, meaning up to greater than 30% of that state's population is obese. Let's take it a step further and look at overweight. We're going to start with early 1990s. We're going to see purple here. That's about 50 to 55% of that state's population is overweight. If we go 3 years later, really not that much time, we're looking at red. Greater than 55% of that state's population is overweight. 1998, you're starting to see a lot more red. And if we finish in 2010, inflamed. I look at that and I see a lot of red. I see inflammation here. And I see a trend that we definitely need to get a grasp on. So more than 55% of all states' population is overweight. And remember, this is such a brief time in history that we got to ask, what in the world happened, or maybe even better, what in the U.S. happened in the 90s that caused such a trend? We could talk about things like rise in fast food. I mean, they're everywhere, right? Also, something that was big is how our food was packaged and made. Processed foods. It wasn't necessarily new, but it's now everywhere. And it started really taking off in the 90s in how we packaged and made our food, which is a big thing to look at. So if we look at those types of things, we're going to see the case for why supplements. So compensating for problems in food production. What we're meaning here is processed foods. What we're taking is making something that's good and prepackaging it, and making it longer on the shelf life. And according to the USDA, food preparation and storage methods have decreased nutrients by up to 30%. So we have less nutrients right there. Another thing we got to look at is consumption-wise, a percentage of our calories, 63% comes from processed foods. And if you look under processed foods, there you see added fats and oils. Well, what does that mean? That means definitely more calories. Something that has more fat and oils in it, I can assure you it's going to be higher calories. Also added sugars. Another thing, when we talk about less nutrients, you take something like these on the top row, be considered good food, right? You take something at the end like oatmeal, natural oatmeal, and you process it, you're taking something out that's beneficial, potassium, a great nutrient, and swapping it out, if you look at the bottom, with sodium. which is the yellow. So you're putting more sodium in the product, which means you're taking out nutrients and you're putting something in to essentially just make it last longer on the shelf. Another issue that we got to look at with food production is agriculture. Here's a map showing soil depletion, and of course, if we focus in on the U.S. and really look at where most of our crops are grown, which is the Midwest, we see severe depletion of soil. And here's a study done by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which shows the depletion of minerals. You go back to the early 1900s, almost 500 parts per million in the soil, to 2007, less than 50 parts per million. I mean, that is one drastic slide down consistently in our nutrient levels in the soil. So you got to look at things like technology changes in agriculture, fertilizing, chemicals, and things like that that have severely depleted the nutrients that we once got through food out of the soil. So when you ask yourself why supplements, the case can be brought on by things like how our food is produced, whether it's through changes in how it's packaged or things like this, just less nutrients in the food that's grown. Let's keep exploring compelling reasons to answering that question, why one should be taking supplements. And we're going to look at the next one, which is lack of knowledge in. And there's two things we're going to talk about. The first one is portion sizes. It has drastically changed, even if you go back just 20 years in the size of food and drink that we're consuming. And when I was a kid, I'd go down and steal soda out of the grandparents' refrigerator, and I couldn't imagine if I had the option of 20 ounces. I mean, it was all 12-ounce cans of sodas, right? That was the only thing available. Now you have upwards of 40, 60-ounce mega mouth soda options. And the same thing with, it doesn't matter if it's fries or burgers, everything has gotten so much bigger as far as portion size, and we've really lost the understanding of what that truly means. And when we're exposed to those types of sizes, we're just kind of eating them and not realizing how many calories are now in the food that we're consuming. And it's kind of become what we could say is the new abnormal, right? The difference in the size of soda, hamburger, fries, even stuff that we're cooking at home. We're just not conscious about those portion sizes anymore as much as we used to be, or had availability in the different types of portions back then when they were smaller, which means we're just taking in way more calories than we ever have, which has contributed to those things we looked at before with obesity, overweight. So lack of knowledge and truly understanding what we're consuming based on portion sizes is definitely a reason why we can supplement, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, the other thing we got to look at is lack of knowledge in proper nutrition. So the next piece to this is really understanding, well, what should we be eating based on our goals and based on our body? And that's where it can get really confusing for a lot of people. They just really don't understand. And if we look at what they've been exposed to, you're probably familiar with this. This is the old food guide pyramid. You look at it and it teaches balance. It teaches healthy eating. And there's some good things to take away from this, but there's no roadmap to, I want to lose 30 pounds. What do I need to be consuming protein-wise, based on my activity, based on I want to lose the weight, calories? Where do they need to be? So there's really no roadmap here. If we look at the evolution of the food guide pyramid, we can see the incorporation of physical activity. And that's a great thing. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to lose weight, definitely want to move more and probably going to have to eat less. That's a perfect recipe. But again, we're not being taught, or we're not seeing a roadmap to, okay, how much protein? We get suggestions on a basic 2,000 calorie diet, which is real vague, real general. And then we also get recommendations to move more. And then the next evolution from here, our government spent $2 million. And here's what was put out to help educate people. The My Plate. You've probably seen this before. I look at this and it is so darn simple. Teaches you balance. But how much protein? How big is My Plate? I don't know. You look at this, and again, we're not being taught a roadmap to, okay, you need to lose that 30 or 40 pounds. Here's what we need to help you with as far as calorie intake, protein, and some of those most important things to really get someone on the right roadmap nutrition-wise. So there's definitely a case to taking supplements to help fulfill that lack of knowledge and really portion sizes, how much you're eating. So becoming more calorie controlled, which is things like shakes, bars, things that are easy and balanced already for you. And then really proper nutrition, helping you make sure you get the right protein that you need. and keeping your calories where they need to be, whether you're trying to lose weight or build muscle. So supplements is a part of helping fill that gap and truly not knowing, well, what should I be doing on a nutritional basis? And we spent some time on the nutritional side of it as far as why supplements. Now let's look at the next side, which could be exercise, and looking at some key points to why you'd want to take supplements to help benefit the movement side. And the first reason is going to be refueling and replenishing the body. Or working out is a great stress. It's an important thing we need to do to help us get us to our goals. But through that, we also can benefit by replenishing and refueling the body as quickly as possible after that stress. The next one, rebuild and repair. We're talking about lean body mass, muscle tissue. You break down the muscle tissue, which is the calorie burning machinery. You want to make sure that we repair and rebuild that muscle tissue after a workout. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is protection. When you breathe, you take in free radicals. And what you need to remember with free radicals, it's what essentially causes us to age. It breaks down our body. So breathing alone through oxygen, we're taking in free radicals. Now think about this. When you exercise, are you breathing more? I sure hope you are. I sure hope you're working out hard enough that you are breathing more. So anyone that breathes, is going to benefit from getting in proper supplementation, especially that has the antioxidants to help protect the body. And then lastly, no shocker here, get a better workout. Whether we're trying to maximize that time that we're actually working out and exercising, or maybe get a longer period of exercise duration. And that's where supplements can benefit as well. Now we've come to the final reason why we believe one should supplement. We're going to look at lifestyle factors, compensating for things like being busy. The guy here looking at his watch is like, where has the time gone? Or the lady below, she's like, I can't take another to-do on the calendar, right? People are busy, and it does impact exercise as one thing. I mean, you look at people making excuses, not being able to have the time to work out or not energized to work out, the focus. So a lot of times, unfortunately, they forego working out. Nutritional wise, we know people are consuming 2 to 3 meals a day, and that's it. We'll call it 2.5. And when they are eating, on average, they're putting 2,200 calories in their body. And again, it's only 2 to 3 times a day that they're eating. So they're looking for things that are convenient, fast, and oftentimes not eating the right foods. The other lifestyle factor we got to talk about is stress. This guy represents a lot of what we're talking about here. People put a lot on themselves. They also do a lot. They have a lot of titles. They're bosses, they're coaches, they're parents. There's a lot of things going on in people's lives. And this society, now more so than any other society or generation before, is the most stressed, is the most overworked, busy society that there is, which certainly impacts the health and fitness of people in our society. And so what I want to do is really summarize this whole section of everything we've talked about. And we're going to do it with this bridge. The beginning of the bridge represents a goal. And if you look at the end of the bridge, it represents goal reached. And so let's take what most people want to do, and that is lose weight or tone up. You look at this bridge, you'll see in between the goal they want and the goal that's reached is these gaps. And these gaps are going to represent everything we've talked about so far. And what I want to focus on is why supplements solving for these gaps. And the first gap we spend a lot of time talking about is less nutrients. And that happens through the food choices we're making. Remember back, 63% of the calories people were choosing come from processed food, which means less nutrients, higher calories. Soil depletion. We're getting less nutrients through the foods that we once used to get. And that's through changes in agriculture and this technology. And the other thing is, if we're going to start exercising, we're going to have nutrient loss. Exercise is an important stress. It's an important thing we should do. But we're also going to lose nutrients while we exercise. So that creates kind of that first gap into reaching our goals. And it's an important gap to get over. And there's going to be a way we can solve that through supplementation. Another gap, people are busy, so it affects them taking the time and being committed to exercise, to eat better. Also being stressed. They tend to have low energy, less focus. They're not committed, which we can see is definitely a gap in helping them reach their weight loss success. And the final gap to overcome really is a big one, lack of knowledge. And a lot of that has to do with nutrition, as far as understanding what they're putting in their body, as far as what they're eating, the portion sizes. They've gotten so big that, a lot of times people just aren't aware of how much calories they're putting in their body. And that comes from easy, convenient choices like fast food. Remember back to the top 5 food choices people are making, they're high in calories, they're high in sugar. And the second point here is ideal nutrition, not really knowing how many calories they should be consuming to reach their weight loss success. Also, how much protein, how much carbohydrates, things like that, or having a clear roadmap to help them best get to their goal as quickly as possible, which, as we can see, creates that big gap at the end there. And so with supplements, what we're trying to do is plug these gaps that come along the way and can prevent people from reaching their desired goal. So let's dig into the opportunities supplements does provide to plug these gaps. So the first one, less nutrients. Well, you take supplements to increase nutrients. Take a high quality multivitamin. Get those nutrients back in you without all the calories. Remember, Journal of American Medical Association said everyone should be taking a multivitamin. It makes sense. Get the therapeutic dosages of nutrients, of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants back in you. Also replenish. When you are working out, you're depleting energy stores and also nutrient loss. So supplements can help replenish that back. The next gap is lifestyle factors. We talk about maximizing the time, energy, and effort. People are going to become committed. They are going to come to the facility. If it's 2, 3, 4 times a week, if we can get that commitment, let's maximize that time with great supplements. Help them get a better workout, have a more intense workout, higher performance on their workout. Maybe even a longer duration of that workout because they're taking supplements. Also, it's going to help them focus better, energy. So supplements can help really impact that time that they put in on the exercise side of things. And let's look at the last gap here, lack of knowledge, which remember is the big one. We got to make things easy and convenient. So things like calorie control is going to be important. If people want to lose weight, got to get control of portion sizes and calories. So supplements, as far as shakes and bars, can really help dial that in. Now the second point, 5 to 6 meals a day. Remember, most people are doing what? 2.5, we'll say, meals a day. 5 to 6 is the magic number that we can impact their weight loss success. Every 2 to 3 hours, they can get something in their body. What are we doing? We're stoking the metabolism. We're keeping it going. We're nourishing the muscles, the lean body mass, which is so important. We're keeping hunger down. We're also balancing out blood sugar so we have better energy throughout the day without the crashes. So shakes, bars, things like that are going to be extremely important to help them plug that gap and really get to that goal. Now, any good supplement should also be balanced, which is the third point. I want to make sure they don't have to think about it that much. So it should have good balance of protein, carbs, and fat. So that last gap of ease and convenience is a big one to plug, and supplements is a big component to help and make nutrition even easier for them. And ultimately, what we're talking about here by plugging those gaps you see here is let's get from desired goal to the goal reached as quickly as possible. Make it as smooth as possible. So that's where supplements can really help do that and plug those nutritional gaps. Let's finalize section 1 with the question, what's the bottom line to all this that we've talked about? And it really is results. We take supplementation to help us reach our fitness goals as quickly as possible, efficiently, and as safely as possible. And by having supplementation in your facility and making good recommendations to help people reach their success, we're going to create that culture of results. They're going to want to stay a member. They're going to refer friends and family. And that's what's so important to us in the facilities that represent Supplement RX. Which leads us into the next section of training you're going to go through. Section 2 is why Supplement RX. And we're really going to look at how is Supplement RX different than a lot of the brands that are out there. Why your facility has chose to bring in Supplement RX as the go-to product line to help your members and clients reach their success. We look forward to having you come back to Section 2 and learn more about Supplement RX.